And now, 700 Stubs.
Superman, the movie. Yeah, Superman. All right. This is my first memory of seeing any movie, though I couldn't have seen it in theaters when it came out because it came out in 78 and I was born in 79. So around age 4, I guess, 1983, I saw it on cable. My grandmother, who I will mention a lot in these videos, my paternal grandmother loved having the grandkids over, and she would always, spend whatever little Social Security money she had on premium channels like Disney Channel, which it was a pay channel. HBO was a pay channel. She wanted to make sure we had movies to watch. She would take us to the video store to rent movies, and we would always get like Popeye's fried chicken and, spend the weekend with grandma. We called her Mama. This is what you do in Lake Charles, Louisiana. You have Mama. And we would watch the movies with her. And she was so patient to just like sit there with us and watch these movies and these stories and talk about them. So I can't remember if it was HBO or the Disney Channel or we rented a VHS, but Superman came on and this blew my mind. I was transported to another place. This was totally foreign and magical to me that this alien would escape his blowing up planet and find himself as a baby on Earth as an orphan and get taken in by these farmers, and he's like the ultimate undocumented immigrant, but then he's growing up and he's awkward, he's an outsider, he always feels like a misfit, and he just wants to be loved and he just wants to fit in and have people like him. And this resonated with me. I was, even at a young age, I didn't feel like I fit in very much. Like I wasn't really into sports. I wanted to just watch movies and TV shows and like play with my toys and make up little stories for them. And that was my jam. I was pretty much an introvert. So this guy like really seemed like, okay, there's something here. He's a nerd and that's like me. And then it got even deeper when he has this conversation with his adopted father, Pa Kent, after his dad catches him like running really fast and sort of showing off to the other kids. And he gives him this speech about what it is you are doing here. What is your purpose? And what he says is basically, you are here for a reason. And it's not to score touchdowns, which is what he said. But the subtext is, you are here for a higher purpose. You're here for something deeper than what's on the surface. Sure, you could win every football game that you wanted to play or always hit a home run in baseball, but that's not what you're here to do. You have gifts and you need to think about that and figure out how to best use those gifts. Now, what does he want? He wants to fit in. He wants people to love him and accept him. He wants to be adopted by our species. He's an alien. And so these words, this sort of, these words from this farmer, this salt of the earth dad, really shaped him and helped him become a better person than he might have turned out to be. So I found this, apart from all of the amazing visual effects and special effects, which I had no idea was a science. I just thought these movies happened. I didn't know how they were made. And the music by John Williams was just phenomenal. Christopher Reeve, I'd never seen him in anything before, so to me he was Superman. I took all of this at face value as like a true, like, I didn't think it happened for real, but it was presented to me, and I didn't disbelieve anything. I suspended my disbelief, and I was there, and it was happening. It was real on a literary level for me. So I was just in love with it. So I started drawing Superman as a kid, and I collected comic books and the toys, and I dressed as Superman for Halloween any chance I got. And it just became part of my own personal identity. I identified with Superman. I was, my parents had not expected to have me. I was an accident. And I was sort of in the small town, and I wanted to get out and do other things that I felt were more like me. I love being from Lake Charles, Louisiana, but I didn't want to stay there. So when I was 22, I went to grad school. I went to film school at USC in Los Angeles, and this was my metropolis. So this was the fall of 2001. 9/11 happened that fall, and I find myself at a very competitive film school with a bunch of other really smart, really talented people who all loved film. And this was not really a mix that I'd found myself in anywhere else, especially not the competitive part. There were Ivy League graduates there, and people whose relatives had been in Hollywood. And I ended up starting to feel really insecure, and I had imposter syndrome. I felt like there must have been a mistake, and that I didn't belong there, and I should probably quit before I humiliate myself. And I was feeling really depressed one day, and there was this really rinky-dink, like really small, gross movie theater near campus, near USC, which doesn't even exist anymore. But I would park there and sort of walk to school, sort of park illegally and walk to campus. And I saw an ad for Superman at a midnight screening. And I was like, okay, I needed to see this. I had not seen it on the big screen ever, only on a small TV, and there weren't, I didn't have any widescreen letterbox versions of it. For some reason, I just seen it pan and scan on VHS. So I got this ticket. It's $5.25. I'm always going to tell you how much the tickets cost, because it's fascinating how they balloon in price over the years. So it's midnight. I'm tired. I'm depressed. I go by myself. I go by myself to the movies all the time, by the way. I still do this. It's like my church, as I've said in other, or I will say in other videos. I sit there, and the screen lights up, and just the opening credits fly off the screen. And the music is the loudest I've ever heard it. And it's really just resonating with me. And it's like a new experience. It's like I'm seeing this movie that I love so much for the first time again. I'm seeing it in a new way. I'm experiencing it totally brand new. And in the early part, where he's in high school, it's not that early, but it's, when he's not Superman yet, he's in high school, and he's feeling low, and like he doesn't fit in, and he's not getting the girl, and there's there are cool people, and he's not one of them. I felt, oh man, this is speaking to me again. I am not one of the cool kids at this school where I'm going. I don't feel like I'm one of the cool kids again. And then here comes Glenn Ford, who's an amazing actor as Pa Kent, and he gives this speech. And I hear it again, like I'm hearing it for the first time, and it's like he's saying it to me. He says, "One thing I do know, son, and that is you are here for a reason." I don't know whose reason, or whatever the reason is. Maybe it's because I don't know. But I do know one thing. It's not to score touchdowns. So he's telling me I'm here for a reason. And, you know, as stories are meant to do, they're meant to speak to all of us in our own way. It worked. I was there for a reason. And I wasn't an imposter. And it was okay that I wasn't cool. And I started to feel better. And as the movie went on, the story played out, and I loved it as much as I always did. But that one speech turned it around for me. And I went back to school. I didn't quit. I kept going. I found my groove. You know, I found my friends, and it was fine. And I'm still here. You know, it's 2026. This was 2001. I'm still here in LA and still doing stuff. You know, I'm still being creative. That summer, the next summer, I got an internship at the Donner's company. Richard Donner was the director of Superman. I interned at his company. Not 8 months after thinking I was going to quit and go back home to Louisiana. And then 12 years after that, I was able to call up my grandmother and say, hey, turn on the Disney Channel because a movie that a friend and I from school co-wrote, Teen Beach Movie, is going to play on the Disney Channel. And I used to sit in your house and watch the Disney Channel with you. And because you put that time in with me, I'm able to do this. So, for all the grief that people give Superman, he's too good, he's too saccharine, he's too powerful, he's too empathetic, he's cheesy. He's a metaphor. He's a metaphor for the power of compassion and empathy for others. And for loving and for caring for one another. Not just despite our differences, but because of them. Superman, for me, says that we can all be heroes to each other if we just treat each other with kindness. Even a little old lady on Social Security, a grandmother, can be somebody's hero. Now, for my kids watching this, if you're watching this, that's what I want you to take away from it. Well, 2 things. First, believe in yourself. And also, be there for somebody and believe in them, because they might need you to. And I'm looking forward to our next story.